What's going on, everyone, everywhere? Welcome back to another video, man. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video out, and all the other good stuff, okay? As you see by the title of the video, we're going to be talking about the water precision side of things. A good loadout for y'all to do, and I have a variation if you are not super speed as well, okay? Without further ado, let's hop into it. Now, starting off with the mods, one, we're going to use the brawling weapon. 2, since it's like AOE, 2, blast adapter. Okay, it's almost mandatory at this point. Everybody know it. Head socket's gonna be Neo Venom. We're gonna want to pop that as much as we can. Gives you what, 45% damage increase right there too. Neck, relentless precision. Back, berserker, just get that 10% damage increase. Chest is penetrating strikes. Legs, it does not matter at all. We're not going to use anything that's going to be there, so hey. As far as feet, you can use dashing combos. If you are doing more clipping of the continuous weapon attack combos, then you may want to change it over like Tumbling Master or even that Deadly Block for the increased damage there, especially if you're not super speed. Hands, we're going to use max damage. Affinity mod, you want to have type A and B be precision. C and D, it does not matter at all. The support ones are way better than any damage ones that you got. So just do support. I always advise that. If you want face, it's best if you go might and precision, so you will be having a little bit of both. Okay. Now in terms of our trinket setup, Tier 3 pet, I use the mother box. I think there's like 2 better than this, so hey, it's on you what you want to do. But Tier 3 pet nonetheless. Your buff trinket, as high as you can get it. Hopefully you bought it from the vendor. That's the one that's going to be the best off for you. Then OMAC nanite circuitry. Now this one does give you 5% critical attack chance. So that's lovely to stack up, especially with some other stuff we got going on in this particular loadout and build. So it's going to be fantastic for us. Now I like to finish off with the henchmen, just to really gauge for all the cooldowns. So I use the henchmen, then I'll use the orbital and supply drop with their respective Decking, Scepter, and Philosopher's Stone artifacts. Now I like to use the Gotham City Emergency Signal as well. It does fantastic damage. Just quick little bursts that it can give out for us. Now you do get this if you come over to the marketplace here. You can go to bundles. You get it from right here. The Gotham City Starter Pack actually is 900 marketplace cash. It used to be like $7.99. So it just depends on where you get it from, essentially. You can also get with your loyalty points, things of that nature. So definitely keep that in mind. But this is absolutely fantastic, just for regular DPS, as well as even absurd if you're pet DPS. I think regularly it does about like over 300,000 pet DPS wise. You'll do over 500,000. Okay, with just this one thing. Now, in terms of our artifacts, for the sake of the video, I'm going to use strategist card just so you can see that damage range is going to be in a nicer pool. As we know, especially AOE wise, with the 5 targets and the sparring targets, man, this pretty much adds like 100,000 for your DPS for your parsers. So if you want your parsers to hit right, hey, try out strategist card, then you can see that number's going to hit right. And just regular content, I wouldn't overly use strategist card, especially for AOE purposes. Add clears the hallways, things of that nature. Just because strategist card, you're rarely ever going to get it to proc that fast. And in procking that fast, you're not going to be able to put out enough damage to justify you using this artifact over something like Venomous Dispenser, which I actually recommend. Now, you can definitely use Venomous Dispenser if you are just trying to pump out as much damage as possible very quickly, along with the transformation card and the Quizlet for when you pop the superchargers. But let's say you're not popping that many. Your damage is pretty good. You had a good lead in front of everyone else, and you really just want to focus on your supercharges. That's going to pair well with our allies and the Quizlet. Then you still, it is still very, very, very viable to go ahead and just grab the Soul Cloak. Absolutely absurd. The amount of supercharge generation is still in the game. Even with the EOG nerf, it's plenty fine. Now, if you want to go ahead and use EOG, mind you, with the nerf, you pretty much got to coordinate and take your turn. Okay, so if you see someone else using theirs, hey, don't use yours. It's similar to like when people use the orbital strikes, and like the ultimate soldier raid. You don't want to all use it at the same time, because when he pulls up that green shield around him, you want to be able to use it then. So hey, make sure you take turns when using Eye of Gemini, and you'll still get out some good damage. It's still pretty worth it, in my opinion. Okay, now, for the most part, you want to use Scrub Soul Cloak, and if you are going to use Eye of Gemini, I highly recommend just for like quick interchangeable circumstances that you go ahead and put Quizlet up here, scrap of the Soul Cloak in the middle there, then you'll have Transformation card at the very bottom that you'll swap in and out with for Eye of Gemini, just so you're not losing out any of these other benefits. One, the regeneration that you get back with Scrap Soul Cloak. Two, just the pure attack that you get with Quizlet, and it'll despawn them if you unequip them, so keep that in consideration there. And three, your Pollux Gaze, okay? But you'll be able to quickly go back in inventory and hit your transformation card and still get that ring right there, okay? So keep that in consideration there. Now, as you see by my stats here, it's not the greatest. I am still getting my gear, as you see by the year, okay? So keep that in mind. About 406 CR, precision about 111,715, might is 163,377. And actually my health and power is actually pretty high up there as well. Now, in terms of base generator mods, I don't have the highest, y'all. It's a lot of the 0.1s, so the relative to this content, 0.1, a couple 0.2s, and I think like 1.3 for everything. I like to do pretty, depending on what you're doing, especially for precision, since we're going to be more power hungry, I like to have a pretty much even split of health and power, so 2 health, 2 power for base generator mods. I like to have 1 might and the rest be precision. Now currently, I think all of them are might, with only, if I'm not mistaken, I think I may have 1 or 2 precision at the moment for base generator mods. I just want to disclaim that out there. So my stats could be a lot higher based on my mods, so keep that in consideration there. And these are the rest of my stats here. You can go ahead and take a look at them, okay? Now, in terms of actual augments, as you see, the origin augments, we're going to just be all precision here for the 4 down here. And then for head augments, you want to go ahead and have precision in these top 2 ones. Now, because I also do might content and things like that, and you can take advantage of might and precision based loadouts, but you can't take advantage necessarily precision and might based loadouts unless you're doing weapon taps. I go ahead and level up my might one, especially for videos and things of that nature sake. So that's why I have the might mutagen injector right here. But if you are just doing pure precision, then that is going to be the better way to go, honestly. You want to have 2 precision mutagen injectors here, and that will be the best off for you. Excuse me, on my throat. Now, if you haven't seen my ally video, go ahead and check it out. But you essentially want to have Shazam as your #1 ally. Mind you, Batman Who Laughs does the 2nd most damage AOE wise. Superman does 3rd. Batman does 4th, and Death Metal Batman does 5th most damage for a combat ally AOE wise. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use Shazam for our combat ally here. Now I know that Power Shazam, a lot of people love it, a lot of people covet it. It is pretty decent, but we do have an alternative here that can be miles better. Oh, excuse me, y'all. Now, actually, we got the new Static Shock Ally. Once again, if you haven't checked out my Ally video for different combinations and different situations, what's best for DPS, go ahead and check that out. It's already on the channel, okay? But actually here, Static Shock, Electric Overcharge, we want to go ahead and get our crits up as high as possible, especially since we are going to be using a 5,000 Powerball Supercharge. That extra 5% pair with our trinket, that's 10. And then if we come over here to Batman Who Laughs, let's look at the draw. Hopefully we can get the, what is that, Frigger buff right there, that Frigger card, for 7.5% critical chance as well. Even the other ones are just good all around things to have, especially with us being precision. The 10% health is going to be fantastic for survivability, as well as our buff troll, increasing our precision stats even further, or even, excuse me, or even our might stats, depending on what he's buffing. The Enigma one with the extra power regeneration is going to be fantastic. That's one of Precision's weak points, and actually when we get later into the spec, it's going to help offset one of our specs. And then even that first one with the buff right there, it's going to be fantastic, and it's essentially literally 1% off from the Powers family, and that you can have pretty consistently for 20 seconds as opposed to just whenever you're able to pop your ally, you know, for 30 seconds. So it's still good all around. You pretty much get the pretty much jack of all trades here. This ally is still fantastic, one of the top allies in the game. Now if you are doing more DPS competition, you want to hopefully take your chance with Batman Who Laughs. But if you really need that control, that precise timing of these buffs and whatnot, then hey, maybe Shazam with the Power Gem may be better off for you to use, or even the Seaside Restart. Okay, just because we are going to be popping out those supercharges. Okay, definitely keep that in mind there. Yeah, probably best if we use Seaside Restart, depending on the circumstance, so we can get that combat ally procced a lot more. Now in terms of our actual spec, weapons wise, as you know, we're going to go on Brawling, get our Weapon Master here, go over, and to get this Shuriken Storm Master, that's all we need. We don't want the other one to miss our combos. Now to get that, we got to come into Martial Arts and spec all the way to Martial Arts Mastery. Then we go back in, we get Brawling Mastery, bam, done. Now if you are Super Speed, it's going to be fantastic for you. You can go ahead and get your Speed Force, get your Breakout Masteries, get Whirling Dervish. You don't need the other ones, just get Whirling Dervish, you'll be fine. You'll be better off. Now you can make an argument for Cyclone Push being a better version, depending on the circumstance. Okay, now Cyclone Push does do more damage, but it keeps you in an animation longer, so to keep that in mind. Now if we're using that dash attack, dashing combos from right here, we can definitely justify Cyclone Push just because it will allow us to do a unique attack here, and I'll show you real quick. So say you're doing your thing, and you'll pretty much do that. Actually, it's like extra 40, 50,000. Pretty consistent right there. Now, mind you, it'll be a lot higher in content, so keep that in mind as well. But it's just a fantastic move to use. If you are Super Speed, we can definitely take advantage of it. If you're not Super Speed, which even just doing pure damage out there, I also recommend that you just go ahead and go without that there. But continue the rest of our spec. Iconics wise, we want to go ahead and Robot Sidekick and Neo Venom Boost. Word Power is going to be for might based play, not precision. Pheromone Bloom can be a fantastic one if we want to do our supercharge, spamming out there with the Gemini, things of that nature. Super Strength is something that we want to use for precision weapon damage. It is very minimal increase in weapon damage, but it's something if you have like over 500 skill points, it will spec everything else out. Then go ahead and get your Super Strength. That's how you're going to see the next little damage increase if you want, just to min-max everything. Now in terms of our stats, as you see what I'm talking about right here, with the weapons expert focus, we get that minus 25% power generation. That can be offset with the Batman Who Laughs allies. Look at the draw, that gives us 35% power generation. So we're just gonna pretty much cancel this out, gives extra 10, while also keeping the 10% total weapon damage from weapons expert. Okay, now other than that, you pretty much want to go down the left hand column in terms of importance, get your critical attack chance, then your damage, dump everything in precision. Now once you're done with precision, dump everything into might and power. You're better off doing it this way than specing into health. Now once again, if you are over that 500 or more skill point range, which will allow you to dump everything in precision, they have extra, then go ahead and get you 1, 5, or even 10 is where I will cap out at for health here. That's how you maximize the most health for your skill points. After that, it's really not worth it till you get up to 300 skill points. Then each additional skill point after 300 is well worth it. Okay, that's for any of the stat nodes down here. So we want to pretty much get our might and power up as high as possible, since we will be using some abilities that do some might based damage as well. Now as the loadout, you kind of already saw what we had going on here. We want to go ahead and use Bubble. Bubble does do 3 ticks of damage, roughly equivalating out to like 90 to 100,000 right here in this one move alone. Now it is always 3 ticks of damage. Once it does hit its 3 ticks, that's it. It's pretty much, other than that, you got extra 5 abilities, so it's going to be fantastic for that. Go use Pressurize for a weapon buff or precision base. Always have weapon buff in there. Shark Frenzy, like I said, Shark Frenzy is definitely more consistent. Cyclone Push definitely hits harder. And then if you want to use Depth Charge can hit harder than Shark Frenzy, but because it is multiple hit move, the chance of you critting everything on this move and end up doing more damage than just Shark Frenzy with this one quick burst damage hit that can crit as well, pretty decent high. It's minimal. Let's say for example, if Shark Frenzy hits 80,000, then Depth Charge can hit 100,000 because it's gonna be four hits of just 20,000 each, or 22 and 23, so it makes like 25. You know what I mean? It makes 50 right there, and then 50 times 2 is 100k. Roughly speaking, just throwing some numbers at you. It's not what it actually hits for. It's higher than that, but just so you know. Then after that, when we use Whirl and Dervish, if you are super speed, if you're not super speed, then definitely throw in that Depth Charge right there, and you're good to go. Now, if you want to do the most damage, and you don't even want to use Whirl and Dervish, now you could technically, if you're able to get everything to crit, especially with all the crit chance that we are stacking up here, definitely use Depth Charge, Cyclone Push. You want something more consistent and higher damage across the board that you're able to proc consistently time again. Definitely use Shark Frenzy with Cyclone Push there. But I just highly recommend you go ahead and only use one of these burst moves and use the other one for Whirl and Dervish, just to keep up with the more fast-paced play that AOE Precision is. After that, use Raw Sidekick as a nice little dot. It's like 15,000 per second increased damage. So that's just gonna be fantastic for us. Okay. Then Neo Venom Boost, 1 Supercharge, 2 45% damage increase. That stacks with everything else. Okay. Now let me come over here. Oh man, he got the name Minato? Oh, that's sick. Oh, he got the name Creator? Master Design. Yo, that's sick. Yo, this name reclaim. I'm seeing a lot of sick names now in today's society, or whatever you want to call it, okay? Now, in terms of the actual rotations, pretty much going to be left to right. Once again, I'm putting that strategist card just so the numbers do seem about right. If you want, we can even take out Quizlet, because Quizlet's going to be more for the supercharge ability damage that it can do. As you see, but with Fractal Beam, we use 5,000 supercharge, 5,000 cost supercharge with Neo Venom. We're able to hit an AOE attack of medium damage. Hits pretty decent, hits pretty hard. It's going to be well worth using if we're using Supercharge. If you're not using Supercharge, then hey, definitely throw in that Venomous Dispenser. Now, you definitely won't want to use Strategy Card actually in content for AOE purposes. It's definitely more of a health, chunky bosses, tanky bosses, things of that nature, so we can maximize our damage on those bosses there. In terms of rotation, you actually want to go ahead and use your third ability into your second ability, and you could stop right there, do your weapon combo, then your third ability into your first ability, just to clip it, because both your shield and your weapon buff can clip your burst move, whichever move it is. Okay, so like how Cyclone Push does have a longer hold of an animation that you're kind of stuck in for a second, you can go ahead and clip the animation out with Pressurize or both, either way. Then after you do a weapon combo, you can go ahead and hit Whirling Dervish, then go back into Shark Frenzy, and whichever one is available out of Bubble and Pressurize. Now, if you want to maximize all your damage in one parser, then we hit Shark Frenzy, into Pressurize, into Bubble. Just go ahead and clip all three together. Let's go ahead and weapon attack, clip all three, weapon attack, Whirling Dervish, weapon attack, first move, weapon attack, Whirling Dervish, and you're pretty much going to keep cycling this back and forth, being 235 right there. And now mind you, that is without Strategy Card really being procced yet. And with that being said, just add pretty much 100k. Now we're going to keep ramping up in damage, because we're waiting really on Strategy Card to really start taking off and hitting. But you're going to hit well with over 300,000 HT, 305,000 just on that one alone. And you're pretty much going to go from there. Now I kind of messed up the rotation right there. I should have just used Whirling Dervish first, then hit Shark Frenzy with the weapon buff. Actually 332,000. And it just does good damage, y'all. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. You're gonna be able to hit, if everything's going right with the Strategist card, probably more closer to 350,000. My highest I hit was about 352,000 and some change. That is per second, y'all. So that's about 3.5 mil in about 10 seconds, plus some change, of course. So try this out. It is absolutely fantastic. Mind you, like I said before, Cyclone Push can hit harder, and with you having two moves that can clip pretty well, Cyclone Push can be well justified in using, and even more justified if you are going to be using the tap melee little dash attack there for the extra additive damage. Absolutely fantastic. But if you're not super speed, hey, Shark Frenzy is definitely more consistent. Depth Charge technically has higher potential to do damage, but you're more likely going to do lower overall damage just because you have to get Depth Charge to crit more often than not of all of its 4 ticks per enemy to do more damage than just Shark Frenzy does, just because it has less ticks that hit higher per tick when Shark Frenzy goes off. So keep that in consideration. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, okay, and without further ado, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. This new emote is absolutely insane. The little Super Saiyan emote is pure fire. I ain't gonna front, this thing is sick. But yeah, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video out if you haven't already, okay? And yeah, stay tuned in for more videos. I will be posting a whole bunch more. I have nature to do now with the new Poison Ivy one, electricity to go back to with the new Static Shock one. I already made a video, so I really don't need to go back to electricity, but I do want to make an electric healer loadouts and redo those. I will be doing the healing side and the DPS side of things, both for PvE and PvP. If you want to do dueling, arenas, and PvP, got you on there. If you want to do pet DPS, just pure might-based DPS, pure precision-based DPS, pure pet-based DPS with might, pet DPS with precision. You know what I mean? I got a whole bunch of different builds that we're going to able to go over and do. If people want to know a jack of all traits kind of build in terms of healing, how you can be like a healer, a troll, and a tank all at the same time, which I've actually done for plenty of groups time and time again. It's not the most optimal, but it can work, especially if everyone is being mindful per se. Mind you, the healing is not going to be a problem. Everyone will stay alive. The power, certain powers and their more power hungry loadouts can make that not the best for it, but just overall in the new state of the game, as long as they're not using like the Ebon artifact overly, then they should be fine. Now if they're using Ebon with a Lanaire's amulet, then hey, even better, because they gonna be straight. You know what I mean? And just pure tanking wise, it's gonna be, especially if the whole tank, ads go towards the healers, because healing you or teammates triggers the aggro for the ads. Is why they're tanking the game in the first place. So yeah, without further ado, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video out, and all the other good stuff. Okay, I will be posting a whole bunch more. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, peace and shalom.